The night my family stole my future, my mother served pot roast. I remember because the meat was tough and stringy, just like the lies they fed me. The scholarship letter still sat in my purse, crisp and perfect, while my hands shook under the dining room table. My name is Reagan, and this is the story of how I learned that family can be your worst enemy. Reagan, dear, we need to discuss something important, Mum said, cutting her meat with precise, bird-like movements. About your scholarship. I beamed, still riding the high of my acceptance. Full ride to MIT's computer science program. 4 years of perfect grades, countless sleepless nights coding, and endless academic competitions had finally paid off. I know, I can't wait to... Abel needs it more than you do. The words hit like a slap. I looked at my brother, slumped in his chair, pushing food around his plate. He couldn't even meet my eyes. What? My voice came out small, childlike. Dad cleared his throat. Your mother and I have been discussing this. Abel's startup ideas need proper credentials behind them. As the man of the family, he'll have more responsibilities. But I earned it, I whispered. My grades, my work. Oh, honey. Mum's smile was saccharine sweet. You're so smart, you'll figure something else out. Community college is always an option. Besides, you'll probably just get married in a few years anyway. The room started spinning. Abel barely passed high school. He dropped out of community college twice. Watch your tone, Dad warned. Abel finally spoke up. Come on, sis. You know I need this. My ideas could really take off with the right degree backing them. Your ideas, I laughed, harsh and hollow. You mean like the app concept you stole from my journal last year? The one you pitched at that tech meetup as your own? Mum's fork clattered against her plate. That's enough. We've already spoken to the university. The scholarship transfer papers just need your signature. You what? The words came out as a whisper. It's all arranged, Dad said. The dean understands our situation. Family comes first, Reagan. I stood up so fast my chair toppled backward. Family? Is that what you call this? Sit down, Mum hissed. You're being dramatic. Dramatic? My voice rose. I worked my ass off for that scholarship. 4 years of perfect grades while Abel played video games. 3 different coding competitions I won while he copied my homework. And now you're just giving it to him? Language, Mum snapped. This attitude is exactly why... Why what? Why I don't deserve what I earned? Because I'm not your precious son? Abel at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. Sis, come on. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Mum called after me. The papers need to be signed by Friday. I turned back one last time. You know what? I'll sign them. But remember this moment. Remember exactly what you did here. Where are you going? Dad demanded. To figure something else out. Isn't that what smart girls do? I slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. In my car, I pulled out the acceptance letter, tracing the MIT letterhead with trembling fingers. Then I started the engine and drove away from everything I'd ever known. The next morning, I walked into the dean's office wearing yesterday's clothes and signed away my scholarship. The dean, an older man with kind eyes, looked at me with pity. Are you sure about this, Miss Jackson? Your application was exceptional. I thought about Mum's smug smile, Dad's dismissal, Abel's entitled slouch. No choice, sir. Family comes first, right? He frowned. There are other options we could discuss. No. I stood up, shoulders straight. But I'd like to keep my acceptance letter, if that's okay. As a reminder. Of what? I smiled, and it felt like baring teeth. That sometimes the long way around is the only way forward. Walking out of that office, I had nothing but my car, $200 in savings, and a burning rage in my chest that felt like it could power a small city. I didn't know then that rage would fuel an empire. I didn't know I'd spend the next 8 years plotting the perfect revenge. I just knew I'd never let anyone steal what was mine again. My phone buzzed, Mum calling. I declined and blocked the number. Then Abel's name popped up. Don't be stupid. Just come home. I typed back 3 words. Watch me succeed. Then I blocked him too, started my car and drove toward the unknown. I didn't have a plan. Just rage. And sometimes, that's enough. living in your car isn't as romantic as movies make it seem. After 2 weeks of parking lot hopping and showering at the gym, I learned that Rock Bottom has a basement, and I was living in it. "Miss, you can't sleep here." The security guard tapped on my window at 3 a.m. "Third time this week. I'm going to have to call the cops." I started the engine, trying to hide my laptop, where I'd been studying coding tutorials on borrowed Wi-Fi. "Sorry, just leaving." That night, I ended up in a 24-hour diner, nursing the cheapest coffee on the menu while teaching myself Python. The waitress, Maria, kept my cup full without asking questions. "Tech conference starting across the street tomorrow," she mentioned, sliding me a free plate of fries. "Lots of fancy people talking about computers and stuff. Sounds like your thing." I glanced at my reflection in the window. Unwashed hair, dark circles, wrinkled clothes. Not exactly dressed for success. Maria disappeared into the back and returned with a garment bag. "My daughter's interview suit. She got the job, doesn't need it anymore. It's yours if you want it." The suit was navy blue and slightly too big, but it was the nicest thing I'd owned in weeks. The next morning, I walked into that conference like I belonged there, swiping an unused name badge from the registration table. That's where I met Ariel. She caught me stuffing conference snacks into my purse during a break between sessions. Instead of calling security, she laughed. "Smart. The chicken wraps are better than the sandwiches, though." She handed me her own wrapped lunch. "I'm Ariel, and you're definitely not Sandra from Microsoft." She pointed at my stolen badge. I froze. "I can explain." "No need. I crashed my first 3 conferences too. But you might want to know that Sandra is actually a 60-year-old man who's speaking in 10 minutes. We both laughed, and something in my chest loosened for the first time in weeks. "So," she said, "tell me what you really do." I told her everything. The scholarship, the betrayal, my determination to make it on my own. She listened without interrupting, then pulled out her business card. "I need a technical consultant for my startup. Someone hungry, someone with something to prove. Interested?" It wasn't MIT, but it was a start. Within months, I had my own apartment and a growing client list. Ariel taught me the business side while I handled the technical work. We made a good team. Then came the billboard. I was driving to a client meeting when I saw it, Abel's smiling face plastered 40 feet high. "Revolutionary AI Solutions" by Abel Jackson, MIT graduate. Below that, "Funded by Thompson Ventures." I pulled over, hands shaking on the steering wheel. The degree that should have been mine, the investors who should have been funding my ideas. My phone buzzed. Ariel calling. "Where are you? Client's waiting." I just saw the billboard. Silence. Then, "The one with your brother?" "Yeah. Come to the office, now." I found Ariel in our tiny shared workspace, already pulling up information on her computer. "Look at this. Thompson Ventures has a history of bad investments. They're desperate for a win." So they didn't do their due diligence on Abel. His company's built on sand. No real innovation, just buzzwords and promises. She turned to me. "You could take them down." "How?" "Build something better, something real. We've got enough clients now to start our own firm. Real solutions, not just consulting." I stared at Abel's face on her screen. "They'll never take me seriously without a degree." "Screw degrees. You've got something better. Actual skill and a reason to succeed." She grinned. "Want to make that billboard come down?" I thought about Mom's smug smile, Dad's dismissal, Abel stealing my ideas. I want more than that. I want to be the one who brings it down. "Then let's get to work." Ariel pulled out a notebook. "First, we need a company name." "R Key Solutions," I said immediately. R for Reagan, key because we'll unlock what others can't. I like it. Mysterious enough that no one needs to know who's really behind it. Looking at that billboard, I made a vow. I'd build something so big, so undeniable, that when the time came to tear down Abel's house of cards, he'd never see me coming. "One more thing," Ariel said, closing her laptop. "This revenge thing, it's going to take years. Are you sure you want to spend your life plotting payback?" I thought about the acceptance letter, still folded in my wallet. They took years of my life. Seems fair to take some of theirs. "Then let's make it count." I made a vow that day. I'd make sure that billboard came down someday, with him under it. 3 years passed like a blur of code, coffee, and calculated moves. R Key Solutions grew from a tiny consulting firm into a silent powerhouse. We specialized in saving failing tech companies for a price. Another acquisition offer? Ariel dropped a folder on my desk. That's the third this month. I barely looked up from my screens, where I was tracking Abel's company's stock performance. Not interested? It's from Felix Delgado. That got my attention. Felix ran one of the biggest tech firms on the West Coast. What does he want? To meet. Says he's intrigued by the ghost in the machine. Ariel raised an eyebrow. Apparently that's you. I'd kept my identity hidden, running R-Key through layers of shell companies and proxies. The media called me everything from the Phantom CEO to Ms. R. Only Ariel knew the truth. The meeting with Felix happened at a rooftop restaurant. He was younger than I expected, with sharp eyes and a sharper smile. So you're the mysterious Ms. R, he said, studying me over his wineglass. Younger than I imagined. Disappointed? Intrigued. You've built quite the reputation. The company that saves companies. He leaned forward. But I notice you follow a pattern. Every firm you rescue has competed with Abel Jackson's AI ventures. My hand tightened on my glass. You've done your homework? I make it my business to know my competition. Question is, why do you make it yours to know his? Maybe I just enjoy watching mediocre men fail. Felix laughed. There's a story there. Care to share? Not particularly. I stood up. If that's all... Wait. He pulled out his phone, showing me a news alert. Abel's company just announced a major AI breakthrough. Stocks soaring. I smiled. Give it a week. 7 days later, Abel's breakthrough was exposed as recycled code with a fancy interface. Their stock plummeted. Felix called immediately. How did you know? Let's just say I'm familiar with his work ethic. Partner with me, he said. Together we could... No thanks. I work alone. Except for Ariel, he noted. And now, maybe, Ruby Parker? My blood ran cold. Ruby was an investigative journalist I'd secretly hired to dig into Abel's investor fraud. I don't know what you're talking about. Come on, Reagan. Yes, I know your real name. The question is, what are you really after? I hung up. Back at the office, Ariel was waiting. Ruby found something. Abel's been faking user numbers, inflating growth metrics. She's ready to publish. Not yet. I pulled up Abel's company website. Look at their new board member. Is that your dad? Philip Jackson, new director of operations. I laughed bitterly. Guess Mom and Dad are all in on Abel's success. Reagan. Ariel's voice was serious. I need to ask you something. What happens when this is all over? When you've taken them down? Who says that's what I'm doing? She gestured at my screens. Dozens of tabs tracking Abel's company, their investors, their vulnerabilities. You're not just trying to win. You're trying to destroy. They destroyed me first. Did they? Look around. She waved at our sleek office, the skyline view. You've built something amazing here. Is revenge worth risking it all? My phone buzzed. A text from Felix. Watched your brother's latest investor pitch. He took credit for an AI model that looks suspiciously like one you designed last year. Another buzz. Ruby. Found proof of major investor fraud. When do we pull the trigger? Final buzz. A news alert. Abel Jackson announces expansion plans. Claims revolutionary new AI technology coming soon. I thought about the acceptance letter, still in my wallet after all these years. About Mum's dismissal, Dad's silence, Abel's theft. It's not about revenge anymore, I told Ariel. It's about justice. There's a difference? Revenge is what they did to me, taking something I earned because they could. Justice is exposing them for what they really are. Ariel sighed. And what about Felix? He knows too much. Felix wants what everyone wants, to be on the winning side. I pulled up our company's acquisition records. And soon he'll have to choose a side. When? I clicked on Abel's company stock performance, a downward trend disguised by creative accounting. Their quarterly report drops next month. That's when we move. And Ruby's article? Hold it. We wait until they're desperate, until they need a saviour. I smiled. Then Ms. R offers to buy their failing company. They won't know it's you. Not until it's too late. My phone buzzed again. Felix. Whatever you're planning, I want in. I typed back, stay tuned. Looking at Abel's company website, at his smiling face next to our father's, I felt that familiar fire in my chest. They were circling the drain, and I was the one plugging every hole they could find. Soon, they'd be begging for a lifeline, and I'd be there, ready to watch them drown. Memory is a funny thing. Watching Abel's company implode brought back a flood of them. Like the day he stole my first real breakthrough in high school. I was 16, coding late into the night, when I finally cracked it, an algorithm that could predict music preferences better than anything on the market. Abel found my notebook on the kitchen table. "Mum, Dad," he'd shouted the next morning, "I figured out how to make the perfect playlist app." I can still see Mum's proud smile, Dad's enthusiastic pat on his back. When I tried to speak up, Mum shushed me. "Don't be jealous of your brother's creativity, dear." Now, 7 years later, I watched through my office window as Abel gave another disastrous press conference. "Our AI platform is experiencing temporary setbacks," he stammered on the live stream. Investors in the audience shifted uncomfortably. Ariel brought in coffee, smirking. "Temporary setbacks? Is that what we're calling complete system failure now?" "His entire neural network crashed during the demo," I said, rewinding the footage. "Look at Dad's face in the background." Our father stood behind Abel, ashen-faced, probably remembering all the money they'd poured into this venture. Money that could have paid for my education 10 times over. My phone buzzed. Felix calling. "Your brother's stock just dropped 30%. I saw. Your competing AI system launches next week." "What a coincidence." He chuckled. "You're evil, you know that?" "No," I corrected. "I'm thorough." After hanging up, I pulled up the code for our new AI platform. The one I'd been perfecting for 3 years. The one that actually worked. Ariel leaned over my shoulder. "Remember when he tried to steal this too?" I did. 6 months ago, Abel had sent a corporate spy to try recruiting one of our developers. Instead, we fed them dummy code that would fall apart under testing. The resulting disaster cost Abel 3 major investors. "Ms. R?" My assistant's voice came through the intercom. "Ruby Parker is here." Ruby walked in, manila envelope in hand. "You're going to want to see this?" Inside were photos. Abel meeting with suspicious investors in underground parking lots. Dad shredding documents late at night. Bank statements showing massive discrepancies. "They're desperate," Ruby said. "Word is, they're looking for a buyout." I spread the photos across my desk. "How'd you get these?" "Your brother's ex-assistant got chatty after they fired her. She had quite the photo collection on her phone." Ruby smiled. "Amazing what people will share when they're angry." My phone lit up with a news alert. Major investors pull out of Jackson AI Ventures following failed demonstration. Then another. Industry sources suggest Jackson AI seeking emergency buyout. And another. Anonymous tech giant rumored to be considering acquisition. Ariel raised an eyebrow. "Anonymous tech giant?" "Felix is doing," I said. "He's spreading the rumors for us." "Why is he helping?" "Because he knows which way the wind is blowing." I pulled up our company's latest valuation. Billions, all earned legitimately. "And he wants to be on the winning side." Ruby gathered her photos. "When do you want me to publish?" "Not yet. Let them sweat." I looked at Abel's company logo, a stolen design like everything else he'd ever claimed. "First, let's see them beg." My phone buzzed again. A text from Felix. "Your father's trying to reach me, wants to discuss potential investment options." I thought about Dad, who always said Abel needed more help, more support, more chances, who watched silently as they stole my future. "Tell him you'll pass his message to Ms. R," I texted back. "Evil," Felix replied with a laughing emoji. Ariel picked up one of Ruby's photos, Abel looking desperate in a dark parking garage. "You know what this reminds me of? That time in high school when he stole your science project idea." "The solar panel design?" "Yeah. He failed spectacularly trying to present it because he didn't understand the basic principles. Just like now. History repeating itself, but this time with billions at stake." My phone lit up with an email notification. from Mum to my old account I kept just for monitoring them. Dear Reagan, I know we've had our differences, but Abel could really use his sister's support right now. Family should stick together. I laughed so hard, Ruby and Ariel jumped. What's funny? Ariel asked. I showed them the email. 7 years of silence, and this is what brings her out? Abel failing? What are you going to reply? I deleted the email. Nothing. Let them wonder. Let them worry. I turned back to my screens, where Abel's company stock continued its death spiral. They're circling the drain, and I'm the one plugging every hole they could find. Soon, they'd be desperate enough to meet with the mysterious Ms. R. And then I'd show them exactly what their forgotten daughter had become. The email from Abel's company arrived exactly when I predicted it would, 3 days after their stock hit rock bottom. Dear Ms. R, Ariel read aloud, perched on my office couch. We're reaching out to discuss potential strategic partnerships. Strategic partnerships, I snorted. That's corporate speak for, please save us. Should I set up the meeting? I swiveled in my chair, looking at the city skyline. Not yet. Wait for the second email, the desperate one. It came 4 hours later, this time from my father's personal address. Dear Ms. R, he wrote, our situation is increasingly urgent. We would be willing to discuss extremely favourable terms. Ariel whistled. Extremely favourable terms? They must be bleeding cash. Oh, they are. I pulled up their financial records, the real ones Ruby had uncovered. They've got maybe 2 weeks before complete collapse. My phone buzzed. Felix. Your family's getting sloppy. Your brother just tried to offer me shares in exchange for a cash injection. What did you say? Told him to talk to Ms. R. He nearly cried. I smiled. Set up the meeting, Ariel, 1 week from today. Here? No. I thought for a moment. The Metropolitan Hotel, penthouse conference room. Let's make them sweat in luxury. The week crawled by. Ruby's investigation was ready to go live at a moment's notice. Felix kept feeding me intel about Abel's increasingly desperate attempts to save his company. Mum sent 3 more emails to my old account, each more plaintive than the last. The morning of the meeting, Ariel found me staring at my closet. Wear the black Armani, she said. Nothing says I own you like a $10,000 suit. I slipped into the suit, applied careful makeup, pulled my hair into a severe bun. The woman in the mirror looked nothing like the girl who'd slept in her car all those years ago. The lawyers are ready, Ariel reported. Ruby's article is queued up. Felix is standing by to swoop in on any loose assets. And the conference room, temperature set to 68 degrees, just cold enough to be uncomfortable. Water glasses will be empty. Making them ask for water is a nice power play. I checked my phone. A text from Felix. Break their hearts, darling. The Metropolitan's penthouse suite offered a stunning view of the city. I positioned my chair facing away from the door, toward the windows. A power move as old as business itself. They're here, Ariel announced through my earpiece. Make them wait 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes must have felt like hours to them. When I finally gave the signal, I heard them file in. The shuffle of expensive shoes, the scrape of chairs. Thank you for meeting with us, Ms. R. My father's voice, older than I remembered. We appreciate your time. We've prepared a complete overview of our company's position, Abel added, trying to sound confident. And we're sure we can come to a mutually beneficial arrangement, Mom chimed in, her social climber voice in full effect. I kept staring out the window. Your company is worth exactly $27 million, not the $200 million you've been claiming. Silence. That's absurd, Abel sputtered. Our AI technology alone is defunct. Your neural network has fundamental flaws in its architecture. Your user numbers are inflated. Your primary investors are pulling out. I swiveled slowly. And you have exactly 13 days before your loans default. More silence. I watched their faces. Abel's panic, Dad's resignation, Mum's growing horror. How do you know all this? Mum demanded. I smiled. I make it my business to know things, Mrs. Jackson. Dad leaned forward. Whatever you've heard, we can explain. The fraudulent investor reports, the embezzled development funds, the stolen code. I laid out Ruby's photos one by one. Please explain. Abel's face went white. Those are confidential. Nothing is confidential from me. I stood up. Here's my offer. I'll buy your company for $27 million. You sign over all assets, patents, and intellectual property. You admit to the fraud publicly, or what? Mum's voice shook. Or I walk away and let Ruby Parker's exposé run tomorrow morning. Your choice. You're blackmailing us, Abel said. No. I pressed a button, and my company's real financial records projected on the wall. Billions in legitimate assets. I'm offering you a chance you don't deserve. My phone buzzed. Felix. Are you actually going to do it? Are you going to let them drown? I looked at my family, the people who had stolen my dreams and were now begging for salvation. They still hadn't recognized me, still hadn't seen what their forgotten daughter had become. You have 1 hour to decide, I said, turning back to the window. Choose wisely. Behind me, I heard Mom start to cry. 58 minutes into their hour, Abel broke the silence. We'll take the deal. No, I said, still facing the window. First, I want to hear you admit what you did. What we did? Mum's voice rose. We don't even know you. I turned slowly, savouring the moment. Are you sure about that? They stared at me, confusion slowly morphing into recognition. Dad's face went ash grey. Mum's hand flew to her throat. Abel's mouth opened and closed like a dying fish. Reagan? He whispered. I smiled. Hello, brother dear. Mum. Dad. Been a while. Mum stood up so fast her chair toppled. This is impossible. You disappeared. I didn't disappear. I succeeded. Despite you. Despite everything you did to stop me. We were trying to help you, Dad started. Help me? I slammed my hand on the table. You stole my scholarship. You gave it to him. I pointed at Abel. And look what he did with it. Built a company on lies and fraud, just like everything else he's ever done. That's not fair, Abel protested. Not fair? I laughed. Let's talk about fair. Let's talk about how you stole my code in high school. My ideas, my future. And now? I gestured at the damning photos. You're still stealing. Still failing. Reagan, honey. Mum tried her soothing voice. We're family. Family? I pressed another button. A recording played. Abel's voice from 7 years ago. Come on, sis. You know I need this. My ideas could really take off. I stopped the playback. Family doesn't steal from family. What do you want? Dad asked quietly. I told you. Public admission of fraud. Full transfer of assets and... I paused. An apology. Not in private. In front of the press. You can't be serious, Mum gasped. Deadly serious. You have... I checked my watch. 90 seconds to decide. Abel jumped up. This is blackmail. No, dear brother. This is karma. I pulled out my phone. Ruby's article goes live in 60 seconds. Unless... We'll lose everything, Dad said. Like, I lost everything? I showed them my old acceptance letter, worn and creased. Remember this? Remember telling me I'd figure something else out? Mum started crying. We thought we were doing what was best. Best for who? I demanded. For Abel. Look how well that turned out. For the family name? It's about to be dragged through the mud, anyway. 30 seconds, Ariel announced from the doorway. Abel slumped in his chair. What's the point of all this? You've already won. Won. I leaned forward. I didn't want to win. I wanted you to understand what it feels like to have everything you worked for taken away. Please, Dad whispered. We're begging you. Like I begged you? I stood up. 10 seconds. Mum grabbed my arm. Reagan, wait. 5 seconds. I'm sorry, Abel shouted. Is that what you want to hear? I'm sorry I took your scholarship. I'm sorry I stole your ideas. I'm sorry I was a terrible brother. I held up my phone, finger hovering over the screen. Dad? He nodded slowly. I'm sorry we failed you. Mum? She just sobbed. Not good enough. I started to press the button. I'm sorry, she burst out. I'm sorry I didn't believe in you. I'm sorry I thought you were worth less than your brother. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I looked at Ariel, who nodded. The words we'd waited 7 years to hear. The press conference is tomorrow at 9, I said. You'll admit everything. The fraud, the stolen scholarship, all of it. Sign these papers now. They signed with trembling hands. Reagan, Abel said, as they stood to leave. For what it's worth, You would have done amazing things at MIT. I did amazing things anyway, I smiled coldly. No thanks to any of you. After they left, Ariel brought in champagne. Feel better? I watched my family shuffle into their waiting car, shoulders slumped in defeat. Ask me tomorrow. My phone buzzed. Felix. Just saw the signed papers. You actually did it. Drinks later? Then Ruby. Press conference set up. This story's going to be explosive. Finally, a news alert. Breaking. Jackson AI ventures to make major announcement tomorrow. Sources suggest leadership shakeup. I touched the acceptance letter in my pocket. 7 years of waiting, planning, building an empire just to bring them to their knees. You know what's funny? I told Ariel. They still don't get it. They think this is about revenge. Isn't it? No. I looked out at my city, my empire, built from nothing but rage and determination. It's about justice, and tomorrow, everyone will know the difference. The press conference room buzzed with anticipation. I watched from a private viewing area as my family took their seats at the table, looking like prisoners facing execution. Ready for this? Ariel handed me a coffee. I've been ready for 7 years. Felix slipped into the room. Quite the turnout. Every major tech publication is here. Of course they are. I smiled. The mysterious Ms. R finally revealing herself. The downfall of a major AI company. It's catnip for journalists. Ruby appeared on stage, taking her place at the podium. Good morning. Today, the CEO of Jackson AI Ventures will make an announcement, followed by a statement from R Key Solutions founder, known until now only as Ms. R. Abel approached the microphone, sweat visible on his forehead. Good morning. We have a confession to make. He looked toward our private booth. I nodded slowly. Our company's AI technology is fundamentally flawed. We've been falsifying data, misleading investors, and, he swallowed hard, stealing intellectual property. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Furthermore, Abel continued, his voice shaking. This pattern of theft began years ago, 7 years ago to be exact, when I accepted a scholarship that wasn't rightfully mine. Mum sobbed quietly in her chair. Dad stared at his hands. That scholarship belonged to my sister Reagan. She earned it, she deserved it, and our family... Abel's voice cracked. Our family stole it from her. The room went dead silent. And now, Ruby took the podium again, a statement from R Key Solutions founder and CEO. I straightened my jacket and walked onto the stage. The camera flashes were blinding. My name is Reagan, I said into the microphone. And yes, I am Ms. R. The room exploded again. I waited for the noise to die down. 7 years ago, my family taught me a valuable lesson about power. They taught me that those who have it can take whatever they want from those who don't. I looked directly at them. So I built my own power. A reporter shot up. Did you orchestrate this entire situation? No, I smiled. They orchestrated their own downfall through fraud and mismanagement. I simply refused to save them from the consequences of their actions. Will R Key Solutions acquire Jackson AI? We'll be purchasing their assets at market value, approximately $27 million, a far cry from their claimed value of $200 million. Another reporter. What happens to your family now? I looked at them. Mum's tears, Dad's shame, Abel's defeat. They get exactly what they gave me 7 years ago. Nothing. The questions came rapid fire after that. I answered each one precisely, watching my family shrink smaller and smaller in their chairs. Finally, Ruby ended the conference. As security escorted the reporters out, Abel approached me. Reagan, please, we can still fix this. Fix what? Your company's dead. Your reputation's ruined. Your investors are already filing lawsuits. I adjusted my cufflinks. Sounds pretty fixed to me. I meant us. Our family. Our family died the night you took my future. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Abel? That app idea you pitched last month? The one about predictive music preferences? I designed that when I was 16. You should have studied the code better before stealing it. Mum tried to reach for me, but security blocked her path. Reagan, baby, please. Goodbye, Mum, Dad. I nodded to each of them. Try community college. I hear it's always an option. Back in my office, Ariel poured champagne while Felix pulled up the news coverage. Tech world shocked by family betrayal, he read. Rising star Reagan reveals 7-year revenge plot. It wasn't revenge, I corrected, taking a glass. It was justice. Same thing, isn't it? Felix asked. Revenge is what they did, taking something because they could. Justice is exposing the truth. My phone buzzed with messages. Old classmates. We always knew you were the smart one. Former teachers. So proud of what you've become. Tech CEOs. Let's discuss partnerships. And then one from Dad. I understand now. What we did. What we took from you. I'm sorry we couldn't see your worth. I deleted it without responding. Ariel raised her glass. To justice served cold. To karma, Felix added. To the future, I said, looking out at my city. The one I built myself. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of victory. Somewhere across town, my family was facing the ruins of their life, just like I had 7 years ago in a car with nothing but rage and determination. And just like that, I whispered, they were left with exactly what they gave me. Nothing. The champagne tasted like triumph. The morning after the press conference, I found Ruby waiting in my office. Quite a story, she said, dropping a stack of newspapers on my desk. But I don't think it's finished. What do you mean? I mean, what happens next? After the revenge, after the justice, what's the real ending? I stared at the headlines. Tech Queen's perfect revenge. Family betrayal leads to empire. The making of Ms. R. My phone buzzed. Felix. Dinner tonight? We should celebrate properly. Before I could respond, Ariel burst in. You need to see this. She pulled up a video on her tablet. A young woman, maybe 20, standing outside our building with a sandwich delivery bag. I've been trying to get an interview with Ms. R for weeks, the woman was saying to a reporter. I have this app idea, see? But no one will listen because I'm just a delivery girl. The camera zoomed in on her phone, showing complex code that looked surprisingly elegant. That's actually good, Ariel said. Really good, I agreed, studying the algorithm. My office door opened again. Ms. R. My assistant looked nervous. Your father's in the lobby. He won't leave. I sighed. Send him up. Dad looked older than yesterday, more broken. He placed something on my desk, my old journal from high school. Found this while packing up the house, he said quietly. Your mother and I were selling everything to pay back the investors. I opened the journal. Pages of code, dreams, ideas. Some Abel had stolen, others I'd made real on my own. I never read it before, Dad continued. Never really looked at what you were capable of. We were so focused on Abel, on what we thought success should look like. Why are you here? To give you this. He pulled out an envelope. It's my resignation from your company's board. You bought us out fair and square, but... He hesitated. There's something else you should know. What? That girl downstairs with the sandwich delivery, she reminds me of you. Same fire in her eyes. I looked at the video still playing on Ariel's tablet. The girl was still talking, passionate about her code. She's right, you know, Dad said softly. No one's listening to her, just like no one listened to you. He turned to leave, then stopped. We were wrong, Reagan. Not just about the scholarship, about everything. I hope someday you can... He shook his head. Never mind, goodbye. After he left, Ruby picked up my old journal. You know what would make a better ending than revenge? What? Breaking the cycle. My phone buzzed again. Felix. About dinner, and maybe more. You've got to admit, we'd make quite the power couple. I looked at his message, then at the video of the delivery girl, and my old journal full of dreams that no one believed in. Ariel, I said, get that girl up here. She arrived clutching her delivery bag, eyes wide at the office. I'm Sarah. I'm so sorry about the interview. Show me your code, I interrupted. She pulled out her phone, hands shaking. It's a predictive algorithm for emergency response times. See, it factors in traffic patterns, weather, historical data. The code was elegant, innovative. Everything Abel's never was. Why delivery jobs? I asked. Couldn't afford college. Parents said tech wasn't for girls. She laughed nervously. But I keep learning anyway. Online courses, coding in my car between deliveries. I caught Ariel's knowing smile, Ruby's raised eyebrow. Sarah, I said, how would you like a scholarship? Her phone slipped from her hands. What? Full ride, any tech school you want, plus a development contract with R-Key for your algorithm. But why? I picked up my old journal. Because 7 years ago, someone stole my chance. I won't let that happen to anyone else. Tears filled her eyes. Really? Really. I handed her a card. Come back tomorrow. We'll get started. After she left, practically floating, Ruby grinned. Now that's an ending. My phone buzzed one last time. Felix still pushing for dinner. I typed back, not interested in power couples, too busy building something better. I looked at my old acceptance letter, then at Sarah's algorithm still glowing on her forgotten phone. You know what, Ruby? Write whatever ending you want. Just make sure they know. This was never about destroying my family. What was it about? I smiled, thinking of Sarah's shaking hands and brilliant code, of all the other dreamers out there, waiting for someone to listen. It was about making sure no one else has to build their future from nothing but rage and stolen chances. I picked up my journal, filled with the dreams of a 16-year-old girl who refused to disappear. Sometimes, I said, the best revenge is making sure you're not the last one to succeed.